All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for today's Disability Health Forum. Um, I am Liam Dacherny. I'm the Access and Functional Needs Coordinator here at PDPA, with PDPA, and I am very excited to bring sort of a partnership with OEM today. But first, let me throw it over to Amy.
Thanks, Liam. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Nieves. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Executive Director of the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. Visual introduction of myself. I'm a fair-skinned female with pink glasses, pink top, and a green sweater. And my virtual background is actually the disability representation map of Philadelphia. And it's exciting to be here with you all for the next installment of this joint effort between the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities and the Department of Public Health. As we've been doing these for going into almost our second year now, it's hard to believe, of offering these bi-monthly meetings for you all centered around access and health, and excited to have our partners from the Office of Emergency Management with us today to talk about emergency preparedness. So Liam, back to you to introduce our speakers. There you go.
I'm going to try that again with my computer not unmute. I'm sorry. Yeah, a visual description of me. I am a 30-something white male with sort of an earth tone color pattern sweater on. And yeah, without further ado, I will pass it over to Olivia Gillison, who is the Community Preparedness Program Manager at OEM. Olivia.
Thank you, Liam. Good morning, everyone. My name is Olivia Gillison, as Liam just said. I'm with the Office of Emergency Management. My visual description is a Black woman with glasses, short hair, and I'm wearing a navy colored shirt with the Office of Emergency Management logo on it. My virtual background is the Office of Emergency Management logo with kind of navy blue, gold stars, and the Liberty Bell. I'm excited to be here with you all this morning. We do a lot of these presentations to several community members, and today we're excited to bring you information about emergency preparedness for yourself, and then as well as what the city does to help us prepare. So I have several colleagues with me this morning. I will go through and have everyone quickly introduce themselves, but first I will pass it to Emma Giardina, and you can introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emma Giardina, Infrastructure Program Manager at OEM. I use she, her pronouns. My visual description, I'm a light-skinned woman with light hair and a black long sleeve top. I'm really excited to be here today. I led the last 5-year update of the city's all hazard mitigation plan. So I'm here for any questions related to that, but you'll be hearing more about that plan from Noah from OEM shortly. So thank you, everyone.
Great. Josh, can you please introduce yourself?
Good morning, everybody. I just want to formally thank the Department of Public Health for inviting us to this discussion. They have always been a close partner of OEM's, increasingly so during the pandemic in the past few years. So it's really wonderful to be here. Like Liam, I am also a 30-something white male. I have dark curly hair, dark eyes, and I'm wearing a blue sweatshirt with the OEM logo on it. My virtual background is a beautiful picture of the skyline of Philadelphia on a nice sunny day, blue sky, and some white clouds. And I will kick it to Noah.
Hello, sorry. I'm Noah Plow. I'm the Hazard Planning Coordinator for the Office of Emergency Management. So my big role is to kind of work with the hazard mitigation plan and our partners to reduce risk for the city. Just a little bit of description of myself. I'm a white male in my 20s. I have short black hair, and I'm currently wearing a lavender polo shirt. And my virtual background is the blurred out office where I work.
Great. And Adina, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks, Olivia. My name is Adina Carton. I am the Access and Functional Needs Planning Coordinator, which is a new position within OEM. I'm Liam's equivalent in the Office of Emergency Management. I am a light-skinned female with dark features, big artsy glasses, and I am happy to be here. I'll turn it back to Olivia.
Great. So just as a quick overview this morning, we're going to give you a little bit of everything, a little bit about what OEM does, who we are, how to prepare yourself for an emergency. That will be led by Josh, and then we will kick it to Noah, who will discuss the city's hazard mitigation plan, what that is, what we do, and then Adina will kind of finish off our formal presentation and discuss kind of what OEM is doing to be more inclusive and include features about what we're planning on for the future as far as access and functional needs are concerned, kind of like what we do now, and then what we are working towards building in the future. So without further ado, I will pass the mic to Josh, and we can go ahead and get started. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Olivia. Good morning again, everyone. We will be taking questions at the end. We intentionally have reserved some time for that. So we do ask that you save all questions for the end. Feel free to put them in the chat now or later. At the end of the presentation, you can also come off mute as well. So let's begin. So we are the Office of Emergency Management. If you have not heard of us, that's totally okay. That's part of the reason we're here this morning talking to you. So we are a city agency. We are under the Managing Director's office and ultimately report to him. Our little tagline we like to say is we plan for and respond to the big and the bad. So there are 3 pictures on the screen. The one all the way to the left is a picture of the Eagles parade after their last Super Bowl. Unfortunately, we did not host a Super Bowl parade this year. We were planning for one, but you know, it was a tough loss there. So we were heavily involved in the planning of that one 5-6 years ago. The picture in the center is an apartment building in West Philly that unfortunately burned down in December of 2018, I believe it was. We responded with the Red Cross and ended up opening a shelter for 11 days in December, right before Christmas. Amazingly, no one was seriously injured and no one was killed during that operation. But in the history of OEM, that's the longest shelter we did. Like I said, it was right around 11 days or so. And we were able to serve several dozen people during that time. And the picture all the way to the right was taken during the NFC Championship game less than a month ago. And that is the city's Emergency Operations Center, which we run. So I like these 3 pictures because it gives kind of a good perspective of the operational side of OEM and the planning side of OEM. We've grown a lot since I've joined a little over 3 years ago. We have almost 50 staff full-time, and most of us serve in both those capacities as planners and responders. So the main thing I want to talk to everybody today is a really great way to be prepared with some really practical items that could help in case of an emergency. And we call this a go bag. A lot of you, I'm sure, are familiar with the term. A go bag is simply a bag that's already been pre-packed with everything you might need to get you through a few hours to a few days in case you need to leave your home quickly. So we only ask people to have 8 key items, which we'll go through each one. And then there's some extra items as well that may be more appropriate, better appropriate for you, your family as well. So some key items we like to ask people to have pre-packed: a copy of your car or house key, really important. My family has a go bag. We have cars. Obviously we live in a home. So we keep just an extra copy in our go bag. And the reason you want to have these bags pre-packed is because emergencies and disasters are really stressful. They're not the time to be thinking clearly. They're not the time to be running around the house trying to grab these important items. You want to have all that done ahead of time. That way, if you do have to leave your house quickly, say for a police incident or fire, something like that, everything is pre-packed, it's ready to go. You know where your go bag is, and you can just grab it and get everyone out safely. So extra copy of your car key, your house key, important to have in there. The second item we ask for is cash, $5, $10. You do not need $500 in unmarked bills, right? This is to buy a Snickers bar. This is to catch the bus. $5 in singles, $10 in singles, is going to be really good. The next thing we ask people to have is batteries or backup power. When we give out go bags, which we do often, we give people little chargers that are rechargeable chargers essentially, and we really love being able to do that. I know the OEM staff have multiple phones. Public health staff is probably similar. Everyone has phones and iPads and gaming devices and things that need to be charged, right? We'll talk, I think Adina and myself will talk about the importance of even setting reminders on your phones, let's say for medication reminders, right? So being able to charge your phones regularly for communication, for receiving news updates is just so vitally important. The fourth item we like people to have are copies of their important documents. This is kind of broad intentionally. Important documents, whatever is important to you. So it could be your ID, passport, student ID, a green card, renter's insurance, mortgage information. When there are hurricanes in Florida, for instance, a lot of time there's mandatory evacuations and the police will lock down a neighborhood and you will not be allowed back into your home unless you can prove you are who you say you are, right? So we don't have as many mandatory evacuations here in the city of Philadelphia, but it is really important to have copies of your ID. Physical copies we recommend, also virtual copies. Take pictures of your ID, store them in the cloud, have pictures on your phone, know what your driver's license number, your passport number, things like that. Very, very important. The fifth item, which a lot of people don't think about, is a list of your medications. We see this a lot when we open a shelter. So I mentioned the 11-day shelter that we did with Red Cross in December of 2018. When we open a shelter, we are able to use our good friends at Public Health. And if you have lost your medication or you weren't able to get them from your house, we're going to try to get you an emergency supply of medication. If you come to us and say, Josh, I take a blue pill and it's really small and it has 6 letters on it, I will not be able to help you. I am not a doctor. I am not a pharmacist. If you come to us and say, here is a list of the 15 medicines my family takes, I will, with your permission, give you a hug and we will work together to get those medicines refilled. So you can get these printed out at your pharmacy. You can ask your doctor for them, or you can print them out at home. You can even write them down using a pen and paper. But if you have a solid list of the medicine, that's going to be really wonderful. You can get it laminated and put it in your go bag as well. Just a few more items. A water bottle is really important. I have mine here. I probably look silly, but I carry water with me at all times for me and my children as well. Sometimes you're out longer than you anticipate, but having a water bottle or two in your go bag, it's not going to add too much weight, but it is going to make a difference should you need it. 2 more items, a flashlight. My military friends like to say half the day is dark. And although the sun is being out longer during the day, it's still setting relatively early. And a flashlight is just a wonderful, wonderful tool to have. Our office recently got some that we ordered, I believe, over a year ago. So when you see us in the community, we will try to make sure to have those. We are happy to hand those out. It's just a wonderful tool to have. And last item we ask people to have in the go bag, pen and paper. It is so very important. I mentioned before that disasters and emergencies are stressful. There's a lot of information. Who's that guy, Josh? Why does he keep talking? What's his phone number? Where's the shelter location at? What are the hours? Where's the nearest pharmacy? What's the transportation being provided? Having a pen and paper where you can write these things down is going to make a big difference. Those are things we also give out in our go bags when we do community events as well. So some other considerations that's important to have ready to go: children's supplies, formula, diapers, trams, whatever they're called. I'm blanking on it right now, but strollers. Really, really important to have these. You don't necessarily need multiple strollers, right? But when my children were younger, we kept the stroller at the front door, partly because we're in a South Philly row home and that's where it fit, and partly because if we needed to leave quickly, we had everything packed and we could do so. Having supplies for your pets. When we open a shelter, pets are welcome. We don't promise that you will be sleeping right next to your pet, but we do want you to bring your pet. Just make sure that you have their preferred food, their leash, bags to clean up poop, kind of that kind of thing. Also want to mention hygiene items. Wet wipes are really important. They can be used, for diapering needs. They can be used for quick shower if facilities are unavailable. They can be used to wipe chocolate off your kid's face because they just ate that Snickers bar you bought with the $5 you had in your go bag, right? So just a really many uses, really great item, but wanted to highlight that specifically. The other thing I want to highlight is mobility and assistive devices. This means different things to different people, right? So we've done shelters where people have brought in CPAP machines. That's great. That is, a really important device that really keeps people alive at night. Wheelchairs, strollers, walkers, whatever that means for you and your family, is things that we want you to be thinking about as well. I want to talk for a minute about the importance of emergency planning. This can seem kind of intimidating, but I promise it's not. Towards the end of the presentation, we'll have the link for our website on, and we actually have a fillable PDF on our website for a family emergency plan. It's really important to have a plan, and it doesn't need to be a line by line item of every single thing that could go wrong and every single thing that your family's going to do. It could be as simple as, hey, if we leave the house, where's the meeting point? Who's responsible for calling 911? Who's responsible for getting the kids? Who's responsible for getting the go bag? It can really be that simple, and then you just need to practice it. So the fillable PDF we have on our website has space for medical information. On the screen behind me is a picture of a family emergency plan that includes the local emergency contact, important phone numbers such as renters and home insurance, your veterinarian's number, your driver's license number, and then medical information, how to contact your primary care physician, your health insurance number as well. So all this is similar to having copies of your medication, having copies of your important documents, right? The family emergency plan is just a great form where everything is kind of in one place. And it's really important to share it with people who are going to be supporting you, to practice it with your family, and then be updating it, right? As the children, if there are children in the house, as they get older, they can be more helpful. They can be responsible for things as well, right? So again, this is on our website, which we'll highlight towards the end of the presentation. Finally, we have a Ready Phila alert system. Many of you may have heard about. You can text Ready Phila to 888-777 to sign up. You can also find the link through our website, which will be made available at the end of the presentation. But this is a great way to stay up to date with all sorts of weather alerts, the prison alerts, if there is a shelter in place or a mandatory evacuation, if there's police incident going on in your neighborhood. We are increasingly looking to how we can target these messages better for individual communities, especially around like flooding and stuff. So we have a lot of really great work going on in the office, and we would love to help people stay informed and stay safe. So again, our website will be up towards the end of the conversation as well. So thank you all very much, and I'd like to introduce Noah again, and he'll take over.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. So now that Josh has really kind of described how you can be personally prepared and help your family, I want to take some time to discuss what OEM is doing for citywide preparedness. How are we as a city getting prepared for these projects? These hazards, and working to make sure that we reduce the city's overall risk. So what does that look like? You can go to the next slide. So this is kind of discussing what is a hazard mitigation plan. And that identifies which hazards Philadelphia is at risk for and helps really describe what projects and plans and policies the city can implement to reduce that risk. So really a hazard mitigation plan is what identifies what can happen to the city and kind of what we are going to do to make sure that we save lives and property. It is a federally required plan. So that means we are able to get federal money for different projects that we put forward. And additionally, we also can kind of introduce OEM to the public, as this is one of our only public-facing plans. You can go to the next slide. And so you may be asking, like, why do this hazard mitigation planning? It is a large plan. It's a 400-page document. And the last one took a couple years to develop and release to the public. But really, we're looking to save lives and property. So if maybe a flood happens, there'll be less homes that are damaged or less lives that are lost during a fire that occurs. It could help us save money as a city and really establish funding priorities for those different partners that we're working with to develop this plan and make sure that when they are developing projects that they're accurately taking in hazards that are currently possible and anything that could happen in the future, and make sure that that project will continue to work well even during some type of disaster. And lastly, it also helps us build partnerships and facilitate conversations. So that from some of our partners we work with all the time, we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but other ones we only talk to on an infrequent basis. And this plan helps us work with those different partners and make sure that they keep updated on what OEM is doing and how we're kind of working together to make the city a safer place. Next slide. So the bulk of the plan really is these mitigation projects. This is like a prioritized list of projects and plans and policies that the city can work towards to make sure that the risks are reduced. They generally cover 4 different categories, such as local plans and regulations. Something like that could be how high a house needs to be above the floodplain so it doesn't flood. Structure and infrastructure projects. Could be, for example, the water department building a larger sewer so that the street doesn't flood when it rains. Natural systems protections, that's generally working with nature to make sure that, risks are reduced or making sure that any type of nature that we do have in the city, we do have a lot of parks, maybe the trees don't fall down in the street, the leaves kind of don't clog gutters, stuff like that to make sure that when a hazard happens, that we accurately mitigate it. And webinars like these could be something that we do for like education awareness programs to make sure that people are aware of the hazards that are kind of possible within the city and what could affect them and how it may affect them, as well as alerting them when something happens. For example, Josh had mentioned flooding and signing up for our text message system. And the next slide. So we really, when we're doing these plans, we want to make sure that equity is a grounding principle. So we're really making sure we have accessible, inclusive, and equitable planning. We want to update our goals and objectives to meet these equity principles. Citywide, all of our different partners are generally including equity in some way, but that looks different from every department. For us, we do really intentional outreach and engagement, especially with the most recent plan update. We ensure that different partners are represented, such as the Mayor's Office for Persons with Disabilities. Amy Nieves is on our steering committee for the plan. So she's able to lend a certain voice to the plan that we might not otherwise have experience with or may not be experts in. Additionally, when we're doing community outreach, we're trying to make sure that language and different demographic information is available to us. For our most recent plan update, we also had surveys that people could respond to. Those were predominantly in English and Spanish, but if you needed a different language available to us, you could call 311 to have them translate the survey into a language that you spoke more easily. Additionally, we also had an accessibility and functional needs focus group in the summer of 2021. We brought together members of the community and I had some outreach and discussed with them like what kind of ideas and issues are most relevant to you and how can we reduce risk to a particularly at-risk population. And we do that for other different at-risk populations within the city. And within the plan itself, equity is a prioritization factor for some of our projects. It is, when we're ranking our projects, it does count for about 15% of the score that a project gets. And it ensures that when we're doing our projects that we do, not only does it reducing multiple different hazards, is it being efficient, but is it making sure that we're reaching different types of communities, different types of people, and how is it going to affect them, making sure that there's no outside impacts during a disaster to one community or another. I can go to the next slide. And then with kind of including equity as a grounding principle and working with our different partners, we try to integrate our plan with different partners across the city and the region, and really engage them throughout the year. So those could be some of our more major partners, such as the Water Department, who we're always working with because they are part of the Flood Risk Management Task Force, which helps to reduce flood risk in the city. The Streets Department, who could be working with us for parade planning events, and the Fire Department, who will help us during urban fire events, as well as helping us set up shelters and deal with different events like those. Now, because it's not a regulatory document, we don't dictate to our partners what to do. Our partners come to us with these different projects to be included in the plan so that they're eligible for federal funding and help prioritize hazard mitigation across the city. And that's kind of where some of our less frequent partners come into play. That would be someone like the DVRPC, who's the regional planning commission. We don't talk to them all the time since they're not directly related to emergency management, but they still do have a lot of projects that influence the city of Philadelphia. And we want to make sure that when they're planning their projects, they're taking in hazards into consideration. And that allows us to keep the plan relevant, make sure that the partners are really working towards making sure the city is safer overall. And one of the big focus areas for our 2022 plan update was stakeholder engagement, awareness, and involvement. So we made sure we continually met with different partners and people to get this plan out and get it informed from people in the community. All right, you can go to the next slide. And I'll pass it to Adina, who can talk a little bit more about what our office is doing looking forward. So Adina, you have the floor.
Thanks, Noah. So as an access and functional needs coordinator, we're looking at the needs of people with disabilities and the intersectional marginalities that are that come with being disabled. So we're looking in the planning process to integrate access and functional needs into all existing and future planning and operations. We are doing targeted programming for community outreach and operations like this today, with community input to continually advise, monitor, and evaluate what we're doing and whether we're doing a good job. We're going to be sharing a survey post this webinar in a few days. If you could please respond to it to make sure that we're doing good. And finally, as an office, we are working on inclusive budgeting, prioritizing universal access and design in our budgeting, financial plans, and procurement process. If you could go to the next slide. So please use the Jamboard link that we popped in the chat in the beginning, and I'll send it again, to write your questions and give us ideas about what you would like to see. Feel welcome to also write comments in the chat or voice your questions verbally. And I'll send it back to Olivia.
Great. So thank you. I believe that was our last slide, or we have one more slide, Josh, perhaps. So as always, you can feel free to contact the Office of Emergency Management. We are best reached through email, which is oem@phila.gov. Myself and Josh read every single question, comment, email that comes into that inbox, and we do our best to get back to them in a timely manner. And then we have a wealth of information available on our website. And so our website is www.phila.gov/ready. That's READY. We have different information regarding the fillable PDFs as far as your family emergency plan goes. We have a PDF that could contain just your health and medical information on there. You can see what type of different workshops and different educational outreach programs we offer. If you're interested in reading more about the hazard mitigation plan or how to get involved in that, we have a copy of it available on our website as well. And so we just encourage you to engage and interact with us for the types of information that you might have questions on or that you might want to know. And so we always do say that in addition to those items, we are on our social media. You can follow us at PHILA, PHILA-OEM, and we are on Facebook and Twitter. We also have a YouTube page. And then we host a bi-monthly community chat via Facebook Live, and you can join us on those discussions the first Tuesday of the month at 11 a.m. and the third Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. And those are just really informal opportunities to be able to chat, to ask your questions, maybe get a response, but we normally host those in themes of each month. So March is kind of flooding preparedness, or moving into that flood risk, or the rainy season. March showers bring May flowers, or April showers bring May flowers. I think I might have messed that up. That's okay. But as we're moving into the warmer spring season, we want to make sure that everyone is starting to think of these items. And so you can join us on our community chats for a less formal and closer engaged point of view. So with that, we definitely have some time for questions. You can pop those into the chat. You can unmute or raise your hand, and we would be happy to answer any of those questions now as well. Right, I'm not seeing any questions at the moment, but I will highlight on our Jamboard, we did ask this morning, what are some items that you never leave the house without? And a few items that were commented were lip balm, a great item to never leave the house without, a water bottle, also a great item, as Josh mentioned in the presentation earlier. A cell phone. Obviously, I think we all try to never leave the house without our cell phone these days. And of course, your keys. So all those items are excellent items that we never want to leave without, and definitely thinking through in the future as well. So we just wanted to say thank you again for this time, and you're more than welcome to follow up with us directly, or feel free to reach out to either Liam or to Amy if you have questions, and they can put you in contact with us as well. So thank you again this morning, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll turn it back over to Liam for any closing comments, questions, or concerns.
Thank you to Olivia and everyone at OEM. This video, it has been recorded and will be posted on our YouTube. So please share it widely with your community. I'll also share the link in my disability health newsletter that does go out. If for whatever reason you do not receive this, please let me know, and I'd be glad to sign you up for it. I think after that, thank you so much for coming today, and Amy, unless I'm forgetting anything else, and let you go a little bit early.
Yeah, I think we can probably wrap up if there's not any questions. I want to also echo our appreciation to OEM for the great presentation, great resources. We will also help Liam get them out to the global community as well. And just a reminder, I did put in the chat our website for the Mayor's Commission and Office for People with Disabilities. We have several events in March coming up. And Liam, I didn't know if you wanted to touch on the homebound vaccination program change that's happening next week as we close out. That was the only thing I thought would be helpful to just remind folks about what's happening with that program.
Sure. As of March 6th, the program will the PDPH program will be closing. So that's next week, or March 6th, 2023, for whenever you see this video. But with the end of the public health emergency status and everything else, I think the program will be closing. So I really encourage everyone to go to the URL that I can put in the chat.
I put it in there.
And thank you so much, Amy. Yeah, so I really encourage everyone to take advantage of that right now. And thank you for bringing it up, Amy. All right, thank you all. Have a good day.
Bye, everyone. Thank you all. Thank you, interpreters.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.